Good morning, traders. I'm Dennis Dick.
And I'm Joel L. Carnan. Welcome to Friday's edition of Pre-Market Info.
And Friday's edition of Premarket Info is featuring a little sell-off here overnight. We were actually trading flat until about 3 o'clock in the morning, and as you can see on this E-mini chart, then we started selling off pretty rapidly. Got it down to as low as 1640 and a quarter. We have bounced off that in the last 2 hours, up to 1646, but we're still down $7 from yesterday.
Yeah, and we kind of had a little bit of a sell-off near the end of the day in the last 15 minutes, so you had a little fall through there. Looking at the daily here, Dennis, getting just a ton of support here in the 1640 area here.
Yeah.
Three lows.
Yep.
If you include today, if we hold up the lows, protecting the low of the move here at 1632.75. So major support here. We're getting a bounce off it this morning. The other number I want to point out on the upside, we're quite a ways away from yesterday's high at 60.75. But we talk about 50% retracements quite a bit. 85.75 high of the move, 32.75 low. 50% retracement is 59 and a quarter. So
That's
we
where
snuck
you were
over
finding
that.
resistance.
Yep. That's the bogey on the upside.
Yeah.
For you bulls to keep partying on here.
So those 50% numbers, some of your technical guys seem to be looking at that because that is where we have found some resistance. So I guess we're in this little range here. The 1640 to 1659 is where we've been hanging out. We kissed almost the upper end and the lower end overnight here. So I guess that's what parameters that I'm going to use in my trading today too. What about gold here, Joel? We have got it trading down just slightly again. I mean, we talk about this 1400 level every single day. It did break out over it yesterday, pulling back here a bit this morning. What's your take here?
Hit 1421.10 so far. That's a high in today's session. I tell you, it's tough to get a feel for this gold market.
Yes.
The thing that I'm looking at here is the first time that we came out of this low 1321 area, we got a big bounce, big hard rally. Now we didn't quite get to that low, but it's just a creeper rally.
Creeper.
So there's just not a lot of momentum here. I think sellers just using any kind of pop here to unload. Looking at the major resistance, I still think the 1420 level is going to hold up pretty well here. But it looks like we're just going to slump back down under 1400 again.
But I'll tell you though, the miners they were doing a creeper rally for a couple of days, and then they broke out hard yesterday. NEM trading up over a couple bucks there at one point yesterday. Well, at least a buck and a half, 34.34. You had Barrick Gold breaking out and closing near the highs at 21.29. You had Gold Corp GG breaking out, trading up over $1. It was a gap and go yesterday. So that was probably one of your strongest sectors yesterday, was the miners. This sector has been thrown out over the last 3 months, but yesterday they definitely shown some life.
Just looking at the levels created from yesterday's trading, 34.48 was the high in Newmont. You had a high back at 34.54 back on April 26th. So that's going to be a major resistance.
I like
to
35
Newmont.
bucks on that Newmont too. That's a huge number. If we go back, just grabbing it, 35.13 on the 25th of April, and that has been the high basically over the last month and a half. So if we do get a follow-through rally, and I love my 2-day moves, I think $35 area could give you some good resistance.
Sorry to disappoint you, Dennis, but it's already had the 2-day move.
You think so?
Moved
Yeah, I
up
guess
from
you're right.
30,
Kind of did.
32.12 to 34.48 for this.
We'll
For
call it
this
3-day move
dog.
today.
Okay, the 3-day move.
But
Now you're
35
saying,
is
I don't
where
know.
35 is my bogey. That's where I think the rally stops, maybe.
I don't know. I just think these are just dead cat bounces and all these things. I mean, where's
They
the
are
old?
to a certain
Yeah,
extent.
it just seems like you need some kind of fiscal world crisis, interest rates, something that to shake this gold market out of its doldrums, and it's just not there.
GG too. If we did continue the rally, these things are just slightly off all their major resistance points from the last month and a half. GG, I'm looking at 30. NEM, like I said, I'm looking at 35. Barrick Gold, which has rallied up, it got up to 2170 back on the 9th of May. So I'm looking at that as my bogey there too. So a little bit off of their highs for the last month and a half. But you got to think it gets up to those areas, these stocks, it might find resistance.
Yeah, GDX closed right on its high too, trading down in the pre-market 3010 high. So going to be resistance if you climb back into the 30 handle in the market vectors gold miners ETF.
We got a few stocks that reported earnings after the bell last night. Might as well start with Guess. They had me guessing a little bit because the numbers to my looking didn't look fantastic, but they rallied the stock big time. They beat by 6 cents, 14 cents versus 8 cents. Their sales were light though, 548 million versus 550 million. The full year guidance didn't seem that great. Q2 sales guidance, they did increase that, 620 to 635 versus 618. But man, they found something they liked in the report because the stock this morning is trading up at 31.50, breaking out to a new high on the move over that big critical $31 level. Big move for Guess.
Uh, Looking at the pre-market activity, really has hit a wall here at 32.49,
Wow.
32.46. So it's been a stick higher than that. Someone definitely has a sell order out there identifying that level. So we pulled off a buck from that level. So if we creep back up to 32.50, just keep that in mind as being major resistance. Breaking out smartly over the $31 level, which had been the recent high. So if the decline off the 32.50 handle resumes, you can look for minor support at 31, even the former high of the move.
You got Krispy Kreme Donuts reported earnings last night, 20 cents versus 17, 120.6 million versus 115.97 million. Increased their 2013 overall guidance, 59 cents to 63. They're supposed to make now against analyst estimates of 58 cents. So all good news for Krispy Kreme across the board, and the stock is rallying this morning, trading up at 15.65 right now after closing at 14.26. It's been a good quarter for Krispy Kreme.
Yeah, that's a lot of donuts there.
Yep.
Keep an eye on 1605 if this rally continues. That's been the high in the pre-market. The decline since then has found support at the 1650 level. So take out 1650 on the downside. You might expect this to come back and make an attempt to get into yesterday's range, but that's going to be another buck down to 1440. Looking at the recent high of the move in the stock, 1529 was the high, but we're already trading through that level. So 1605 is the number I'm looking at on the upside.
PANW also reported earnings here last night. Their numbers were 6 cents versus 5 cents. They were light on the revenue, 101 million versus 103 million, and that does have the stock trading down about $7 here this morning. 47.55 is where it just ticked to. Yeah, it's a beating for PANW. 54.39. It actually closed right on technical resistance, and wow, this is just a disaster here for the stock this morning. Trading down $7, basically goes from the high of the month to the low of the month, or through the lows of the month. There was some support in the 49.40 area. It's taking that out too, and Joel's going to have to reach back to find some support on this one.
Yeah, actually, I can find even, well, you look at the stock that's down, 12.5%, 6.7, $6.76 there. But I'm seeing some support in this thing. The initial spike took it down to 45.50. It got a little bounce after that, but since you hit that 45.50 level, buyers are stacking up here at 46. So this just may be one of those stocks where you've already seen the low for the day, and it's kind of going to be a slow drift up. 46, though, I like that number. Pre-market low, a little bit below that. Since making that low, we bounced over the $48 level, 48.36. So you can use that as minor resistance on the upside. This stock, boy, just I have to go to a weekly here to take a look at this. Weekly's not going to do me any good. Monthly is not going to do me any good. So, folks, $46 in that one.
And this is just going back to these pre-market ranges that you give. This is why we reiterate these numbers where we find the pre-market lows or the pre-market highs, because like Joel always says, a lot of times the stocks will not breach their pre-market high or breach the pre-market low, or if they approach those levels, they find resistance there just like they did in the pre-market. And your analysts and your stuff, they don't track this pre-market data, but this is key data, especially if you're an intraday trader looking at it, to jot down these lows and to jot down these highs where they struggled, especially when you get a hard level like you were showing me. Which was the stock that was up there on the gas at 32.5? That looked like a ridiculous level from in the pre-market charts. So any type of extra information you can get can give you that edge, and that's what we're always trying to give you here on the show. OVTI also reported earnings here, which is OmniVision, and that stock is breaking out big time. This was a great quarter, 31 cents versus 21 cents. So they beat by 10 cents. They beat on the top line, 336 million versus 318 million. They increased the guidance big time. 35 cents to 52 for Q1 they're saying they're going to make, versus analyst estimates were down at 28 cents. And they increased sales guidance 355 to 390 million versus 344 million. I don't know how you get a better quarter than that. And the stock is responding very well here in the pre-market, trading up over 20% right now at 1862.
Wow, that is huge, man. 1931 has been the high in the pre-market, so we'll keep it by that as a good level. Since hitting 1931, we pulled it down to 1850s, acting as minor support here. The stock is obviously breaking out. It's new weekly, monthly. Well, actually, the stock is coming into some resistance here. If you look at 2111, that was high back in April of 2012.
Well, looking at upgrades and downgrades, there's not a ton of them there. Last night after the bell, though, Morgan Stanley did get an upgrade from Deutsche Bank, and it was trading up after hours last night. This stock closed very near its high on the year, just off of it, 25.82. It ended up closing at 25.82. The high yesterday was 25.92. Did kiss over $26 in the after-hours session on that upgrade. Now with the overall market pullback here, Morgan Stanley is trading flat, but sure looks to me like it wants to go up there to that $26 area and try to break through that key resistance level.
Yeah, 2606 was a high just as the news was broke by the Benzinga news desk. Now pulled back a little bit since then. 2580s acting as minor support. The stock is finally, catching up. Unlike some of these other stocks, financials have had nice rallies. It's just been a slow grind here for Morgan Stanley, though, trading at levels we have not seen since back in 2011. Back in May of 2011, you had a high of 26.49. So keep an eye on that if you get another 70 cents with a rally in the stock today.
Panera Bread getting downgraded at Lazard Capital. They're obviously bucking the trend because Panera Bread, I think, made a new all-time high yesterday at 194.77. Did close off the all-time high down at 193.82, and I guess they're saying this is an opportunity that they think it's run a little bit too far, and it is trading down $2 here in the pre-market at 191.74. Very light volume, though, only a couple hundred shares, and I don't know how influential Lazard is, so we'll see if the stock still stays red.
What? Lazard one that did this?
Yeah, Lazard
Well,
was. They're definitely
yeah,
not as influential as Deutsche Bank. They can have some push, though.
yeah, well, I mean, at least they're not, doing this, after like a 50-point drop in the
Yeah,
stock.
they're trying to actually play it by sell high, buy low or something. So they're trying to sell high. We'll give them
That's
that.
what the analysts are supposed to do here. Not a lot of volume with this sell-off here. 190.80 and 191.12. Looking at the dailies here, those were lows that you had on Tuesday and Tuesday and Wednesday. So you got good support in the 191 area. So if it takes that out, you can obviously sink under 190. 188.27 is a level below that.
Facebook getting a bounce yesterday and trading up a bit here again today. Obviously, we had the upgrade there. I think BMO jumped on the bandwagon too. Jefferies had it early, and then BMO Capital as well had raised their estimates for Facebook, and that really took it out of the doldrums. Like we were saying, Facebook had been down about 11 of 12 sessions in a row, but yesterday with all the good analyst coverage there, got a good bounce. Bounced again here, bouncing a little bit here again. That $25 I think level could be a magnet for the stock.
Yep. 24.97 was your high back on the 24th. So I think it's going to start to thicken up here, especially with the market being down between 24.78 and 25. But I think until you can get back, have a few closes back over 25, could just be another dead cat bounce here in Facebook.
Apple trading down a couple of bucks here. Did get a
Just a heads up,
lift.
guys. We got a personal income month over month coming in exactly flat. The expected growth was 0.1%. The prior was 0.2%. Personal spending month over month was down 0.2% versus the expected flat. The prior revised number is 0.2% from the prior report of 0.1%.
And the market bouncing and shopping around a little bit on that. We just ticked down to down 9.5. Now we're down 8. So kind of bouncing around a little bit on those numbers. We'll let it digest and we'll give you another little look at that E-minis here in a couple of minutes. I had just started talking about Apple here, Joel. 450 has been the bogey. We've talked about it. It actually went up, closed over that 450 level. It is trading right there right now on 450. What's your take here on Apple?
Yeah, this one you're making me relive my terrible trade from yesterday. Taking a little ride on the 450 weeklies on the decline, and said I was going to use 440 as my stop out area, and just took them off a little bit too easy. We're trading down. I'd like to see a little bit, maybe a decline back to the 447.50 area, and maybe try that trick again one more time, but. 54.50 yesterday's high. You also had a high going back on the 14th at 55.20. But yeah, a couple closes. I got one close over 450, but haven't been able to get another one.
This has been a really creeper rally with the Apple ever since it made the low back at 422 on May 15th. It's just trying to grind its way up, and it's slowly grinding its way up back to this 450 level. I do like that it closed over 450, but at the same time, it's been a hard stock to call. It seems like every time you think it's going to break out, it turns around and sells off $7 or $8 and shakes everybody out again, and then it does a slow creeper thing to try to get back up to the level that it was. So every time it seems to get in the low 440s, seems to find buyers. I don't know if I want to play the breakout here from yesterday on this or not. Just, if you'd like the 2-day rule, maybe you're going to get some follow through here today, but it's just been such a creeper rally here. I just don't know if it's got the gas to really take off here or not. Might as well talk about the Google. Google is trading up here a couple of bucks here, bucking the market's trend because the market's down 9 and Google is trading up $2. Yesterday, okay day. It's been very quiet here for Google though too. Like yesterday's range, look how tight that was. Really. Well, actually, I guess a little range,
Yeah.
but tighter from where it was there. I guess it still had a 12-point range yesterday. It's funny when you call it 12-point range on Google tight, but it does look like that bar is a little bit smaller than some of the other ones.
Right. Major support, the 865 level, 864.29 was your low on Wednesday. You hit 866.41 yesterday. So as long as you're holding above this 865 here, this could be a sell-off here. We break below there, and I don't like these open areas like this where you really don't have many reference points. Really, next major support coming down under this 864 is way down at 852.91. So for you Google lovers out there, you better hope this 865 holds up.
Just bring up a chart of silver here because I just noticed that it has been ticking down here in the last few minutes, and silver is actually trading down now 40 cents, which is almost 2%. SLV here, looking at my charts here, Joel's going to bring it up there as well. We've got, I'll just wait for the chart. Yeah, we've kind of been the same thing. We were like trying to break out crazy consolidation in the silver. That's right around this 21.5 level. You found great support. It did break out there yesterday, but we're pulling right back into where that support is once here again.
Yeah, just a host of lows here at the 2141 to 2145 area. So if the decline continues another 20 cents, look for major support in that area.
E-mini overall thoughts here. We bounced around a little bit, but we're still down 8 points. Obviously, we found
Man,
great support down in the 1640 area. Is that support going to continue to hold, or are we eventually going to crater here?
I mean, you got five lows here, right around the 1640 area. We've had a major run in the market, just in this month alone, and you still just got to stick with the trend here at, this above the 1640 level. It's starting to feel a little bit heavy,
Yeah, it
though.
is.
I think, the real bogey though is that low that we had when everybody got real nervous about Ben at 1632.75, but. I think if 1640 is just what I'm keeping an eye on today, and it's also the overnight low.
It's feeling heavy enough that I will offer to take off the bet if you want. It's 1645 right now. You had 1600. I had 1680. I'm only 35 points out. You're 45 points out. I'll give you a break right now if you want to take off that bet. I'll just and we had the bet on the 24 Labatt's Blue Light. If you want to take it off, I'm throwing it out there. What's your say?
I don't know. I think it's going to be a hot summer here, and gonna need a lot of beer to get me through it. So I'm not gonna let you out.
Yeah,
On
I gotta
this
let
one.
me out. Oh, and you were offering me that 12 pack to get out of the bet when we're up at 1670. I turned it down. I just offered you flat to get it out. Okay, well, that's all right. When we're back at 1680, I can come and play the show back to you and say, look, I was letting you out of the bet. You didn't want out, so that's it. So I'm not gonna offer it to you again.
Okay.
That's our show for today, guys. Have a great trading session, and back with you guys on Monday.